Amidst the bustle of wedding guests and their clinking drinks, I stood there, burdened by 13 years suffocating me like an oversized cloak that I was unable to remove. Olivia was the only thing on my mind as the music blared, the kind of catchy melody that made people move their bodies without thinking. My ex came charging up to me as if she were the boss of the house. She hadn't changed much, except maybe her hairstyle, which was still quite sharp. Blonde, falling just over her shoulders, with lint-filled eyes that used to get me down. I had feelings for her that were profound and hurtful. We made the pledge to stay together forever when we were young and naive, but then came the tests and the doctor appointments. Sitting across the table from me, her voice as frigid as ice, she betrayed me after we were unable to conceive children. And the waiting never ended. She abruptly left, spitting out hurtful things, accusing me of letting her down. She left me 13 years ago, and I've never been the same. If you can't provide me with a family, you're not a true man. I hadn't seen her since, until now. The wedding was for an old university mate, someone we both knew back in the day. I'd come expecting laughs and nostalgia, not this. She spotted me across the room and made a beeline, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor like she was marching into combat. I braced myself, hands shoved in my pockets, trying to look cool even though my heart was beating. She halted a few feet away, grinning. That smirk I used to hate, the one that proclaimed she'd already won. "Well, well," she started, her voice dripping with that old arrogance. "Still single, right? Figures. No one to tie you down, no obligations." She paused, tossing her hair like she was in some movie. Then she went on. "My life's different now. I've got Richard. Successful, handsome, everything you weren't. And our son, Caleb. He's a genius, just like his dad. Top of his class, plays. Piano like a pro. You should see him." She smiled, a piercing tiny sound. And I just stood there, letting her babble, letting her build her little tower of pride. I could have interrupted. I could have done anything to wipe that smug smile off her face. But I didn't. I waited, watching her bask in what she thought was her major victory over me. She kept going, throwing out facts about Caleb's grades, Richard's business transactions, how perfect her world was now that she'd left me behind. I nodded along, keeping my face neutral, feeling the familiar rage bubble up, but pushing it back. And then, when she paused to gather her breath, I noticed my opportunity. I moved slightly, just enough to gaze over my shoulder, then lifted a hand in a little motion. "Nice," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Here's my son." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap, simple but heavy, and I saw her face alter. Her smirk froze, then melted away like someone had flipped a switch. Her eyes shot past me, landing on Adrian, standing a few feet behind, speaking with some cousins near the dessert table. He's 12 now, tall for his age, with my hazel eyes and a grin that's all his own. Olivia's jaw opened, yet nothing came out. Her hands, the ones she'd been waving around so confidently, started to shake. Just a little at first. Then more, as she took him in. I could see her mind racing, trying to make sense of it, because this wasn't part of her script. She'd spent years persuading herself and anybody who'd listen that I was the failure, the broken one, the reason we'd never had a family, and now here I was, standing tall, with a son she couldn't deny. "Adrian," I called, casual as anything. He looked up, flashing that easy smile of his before walking over. He stopped alongside me, hands in his pockets, just like mine, and I wrapped my arm around his shoulders. Olivia's gaze flickered between us, her breath catching, like she'd forgotten how to breathe. "This is my boy," I said, looking right at her, letting her see every piece of pride I felt. Her face went pale, the color draining out like water from a cracked glass. That confidence she'd worn like armor, gone, cracked. For the first time in all the years I'd known her, Olivia looked bewildered, like the ground had dropped out from under her immaculate little world. I didn't say anything else. I didn't need to. The truth was standing right next to me, living, breathing proof that she'd been wrong all along. She muttered something, a half-formed question maybe, but I simply smiled. Tiny and tight, and let her flounder, Adrian inclined his head, curious but unbothered. And I could tell he didn't get the weight of the moment. Not yet, but I did. I felt it, in my bones, the thrill of watching her crumble. Not because I planned it, but because life has a way of setting things right. She left me thinking I was nothing, and yet here I was, whole, happy, with a family she could only dream of. The music kept playing, the party kept spinning around us. But for that one moment, it was just me, my son, and Olivia's astonished stillness. And damn, it felt amazing. I doubt the useless ex she dumped for him, Caleb, thinking, piped up, his voice cutting through the strain. Oh, Dad. That's the boy from the violin event, right? He pointed at Adrian, all eager and ignorant, and I almost laughed. Richard's frown deepened, but Olivia flinched like she'd been smacked. I couldn't help it. I giggled, low and quiet. Olivia's head snapped back to me. What? She said, sharp now, attempting to claw back some control. I shrugged, still grinning. Nothing, just humorous is all. Adrian had won some big violin contest last month, got his name in the news and everything, and I believe Caleb had been there too, watching my child grab the prize. Olivia didn't know. She couldn't have, not with how her mouth tightened, like she'd bitten something sour. Richard placed a protective hand on Caleb's shoulder and said, clipped yet firm, "Come on, let's go." Olivia didn't move. She just stood there, looking at me, at Adrian, at Sophia, like she was seeing ghosts. Caleb, though, glanced at Adrian again, his eyes narrowing a little, and I caught it. Admiration, sure, but envy, too. My child had something his didn't, and it showed. Olivia's immaculate, tiny brain wasn't the only star in the room anymore. She looked at Richard, then back at me. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. You have a son?" It wasn't a question this time, just a truth she couldn't dodge. I nodded, slow and deliberate. "Sure, Olivia, I do." And that was it. The moment everything she built her life on shattered, right there, in the middle of that raucous wedding. My family stood strong alongside me, and hers cracked at the seams. The wedding buzzed around us, laughter, music, the clatter of plates, but all I could focus on was Olivia, standing there, her face pale, her eyes locked on Adrian like he was a riddle she couldn't solve. And Adrian? He was completely oblivious, licking frosting from his fingers, utterly unaware of the turmoil he'd just caused. Richard tried to pull Olivia away, his voice tight. "Let's go." But she didn't move. She couldn't. She was stuck, staring at my boy, and I could see it. The pieces falling into place in her head. The years she'd spent running finally catching up to her. Then Caleb broke the stillness. His voice, high and interested, cut through the tension like a child who didn't know better. "Dad, that's the boy from the violin competition," he murmured, tugging at Richard's sleeve, pointing at Adrian with this mix of astonishment and something sharper. Envy. Maybe. I couldn't hold back the chuckle that slipped out, low and rough, because, oh, this was too amazing. Olivia's head snapped toward me, eyes narrowing like she could still claw her way out of this. "What's so funny?" she snapped, her voice fragile. I shrugged. Easy, letting her stew. "Just strange," I remarked, nodding toward Adrian. "You didn't know, did you?" She didn't answer, but her face said it all. Tight lips, a little crease between her brows. Adrian had made headlines last month. Won this big international violin tournament. The kind where they print your picture in the paper and send you home with a trophy bigger than your head. I'd been there, front row, cheering him on, Sophia snapping pictures while he played like his little hands were made for. Caleb must have been there too, I figured, probably in the audience watching my son take the stage, walk off with the prize. And Olivia, the woman who spent years bragging about her genius son, had no idea. She'd been outdone by the kid she never imagined I could have. The irony was thick, and I let it hang there, watching her squirm. Richard adjusted his grip on Caleb's shoulder, but his eyes were on Olivia now, hard.